Giving voice to our elders is a unique dramatic presentation of the popular Sedna myth, which has been handed down throughout the Arctic by means of the oral tradition. In addition to the Sedna myth, the creation of the animals of the sea, it includes the culture, traditions, and landscape of Nunavut, the Inuits' relationship to the land, and the impact of the sealskin boycott on modern Inuit society. The Inuit know their children need to take the best of the past and the best of the present to create a future for themselves based on a solid sense of who they are. This concept is developed throughout the play, Giving Voice to Our Elders, by its multiple themes, which focuses on the enhancement and enrichment of the language, culture, traditions, and survival skills of the Inuit people.
This Arctic land was made with many beautiful and good things. The sun and moon and stars were made. The white land, white with snow, and the mountains and the ocean were made. The fish of all kinds and many birds were made. The seal, the walrus, the caribou, and the great bear were made. Then the Inuit, the people, were made. The Inuit learned how to live, using everything useful around them.
The story I'm going to tell you was handed down to me by my grandmother. It is a story of times long past. It happened before I was born, even before my grandmother was born. It is a story about an Inuit called Jonasi, who had a large family. Jonasi hunted in order to live. He hunted all the time. He hunted polar bears, caribou, seal, and many other Arctic animals. Jonasi was a great and fearless hunter, but he never killed animals without reason. He killed them for food when he and his family were hungry. With their skins, the women made new clothes. The women made sealskin mitts, caribou parkas, sealskin pants, and sealskin boots. The new clothes protected them from the wind, the snow, the water, and the cold. With the bones, the men made all sorts of tools, good solid tools. Knives, scrapers, bone drill, fish slicer, and the woman's knife. The hunter wasted nothing. He respected the animals that he killed. That's why he was a good hunter. During the winter, seals were hunted through a hole in the ice called an igloo. The seal must breathe air, so it keeps several holes in the ice open. One day, Jonasi found one of these holes and waited beside it until the seal came up to breathe. When the marker which he had placed in the water began to bob, the hunter drew his harpoon, aimed it at the seal, and caught it. Hunting seals in this way took a great deal of patience. Often, the hunter waited for many hours.
The Inuit specialized in hunting the sea mammals, especially the seal, because the seal is very important to survival on the land. One important use of seal was tent making. The skins were kept until they began to decay. This process would make the skin water repellent. An unfinished skin had fur on one side and fat on the other side. First, we scraped off the fat, and then we turned the skin over and scraped off the fur. The skins were now ready to be stretched. Skins were stretched on the ground using wooden pegs to hold them in place. When the skins dried, they were then sewn together.
In the tent, seal intestines were smoked to preserve them and to provide food when hunting was poor. Almost every part of the seal was used. Only the gallbladder, appendix, and bladder were given to the dogs. When a seal was killed, it was shared with the whole camp and the dogs. We were always very happy when the seal was caught.
Seal skins were also used for pulp, which was an inflated skin bag made for carrying or storing seal fat. Oil was needed to light and warm our dwellings. Our seal oil lamps, called kuli, were used to melt ice for drinking water. Floats made for hunting were made from skins. Gamit, which we wear on our feet, were made from seal skins, as well as our mittens, clothing, and robe.
Winter was often very hard. Sometimes all we had to eat was a type of porridge made out of the seal's blood, which we would share with our neighbors. When we had nothing else, we were forced to eat sealskin strings or the bottom of our tummocks. Our parents worked very hard to provide for us. Life was much harder than it is today. We had to live in igloos, often with little or no food or no oil for our kudlips. Many times we went to bed without eating, and we had only a little water to drink.
These stories are true. We know because our elders have lived it and have told us about it.
As Jonas looked upon his seal, he remembered the legend his grandmother told him about how seals were made. One day, a raven wanted to marry a woman. He left his home in the mountains and looked where some beautiful girls lived. When the raven was near the village, he changed himself into a man. After the raven man had been in the village a short time, the Inuit began to notice that he was a great hunter. When he went seal hunting, he always brought back food for everyone. One day, he announced that he wanted to marry a hard-working woman. Soon, a young girl agreed to marry him. The family was
Nuliajuk Iksinaktaru. Ano kaya?
Ati. Ati, lipik ko sige ako rapta. Ati. Ati. Oh, nila tisang nakdari, you see. Ayung ito binero nasi.
The father, who was the oldest man in the camp, began to drum first. Continued into the early hours of the morning until the people made their way home to their tents to sleep out the remainder of the long day. As the brother said farewell to his sister, he told her to take care of herself because he was worried about her.
Tavvauvusi panikuro, Nuliajuk sa qunngiaqtittiqatigivalauqsimajakka.
Tavvauvusi.
Tavvauvusi. Ati rannam ni quraqpusi. Padina tavvauvusi.
So the man took his wife away from the village to his home in the mountains. But he did not tell her that he was a raven. Every day, while his wife worked on the hammocks for her husband, he secretly changed himself into a raven. Once, his wife saw him change into a raven. The wife became frightened and wanted to escape. but there was no boat to take her anywhere. One day, the father and brother came to visit her. They were worried about the girl because her family had not seen her in such a long time. She told them about her husband turning into a raven and how frightened she was to stay with him. She begged her father and brother to take her away.
Ariana qunngiaqtittiqatigivalauqsimajakka. Ingnari uigatulugun musuqarang magkapegilaqtaqa. Ay qajarang langatu.
Animakangan nilaktakan sa sinong mapatang nagkaroon na kani. Ati ay katunel dabo, katangotin yung tama. Ati.
The father feared so much for his daughter that he helped her escape. When the hunter returned to his home, he was very upset to find that his wife had left him. He furiously turned into the raven and began to beat his great wings. His magical powers made huge waves on the sea. The storm became wilder and wilder as the raven flapped his wings on a huge tower.
Aye, kingunak kanak pagkakay. Imakdang nakadito ang gusto. Panigano na higit yung malakakapesip sa dinero mana.
The father was so frightened, he pushed his daughter out of the boat, but she quickly grabbed the boat to save her life. The brother got up, grabbed his knife, and chopped off his sister's fingers. His sister slowly slipped down into the deep, cold Arctic Ocean. As the waves carried the sister away, she turned into the sea creature, Tuutalik, the queen of all creatures in the sea. Tuutalik's chopped fingers now became the sea animals of the Arctic Ocean. The seal, the walrus, the narwhal, and the fish. When Tuutalik is pleased, she allows an Inuit hunter to catch one of her seals. After a hunter catches a seal, he then gives thanks to Tuutalik for helping him. As an offering of gratitude to her, the hunter puts water in his mouth and then he spits it into the dead seal's mouth for allowing itself to be caught.
The Northwest Territories of Canada is one of very few populated places in the world that still reflects a natural balance between man and nature. A balance that its Inuit residents have respected from earliest times. It is on the land that the Inuit gain a sense of achievement and identity from their traditional economy of hunting, trapping, and fishing. The land and the people are one. Without this relationship, we would not have survived.
As the Inuits' harpoons gave way to high-powered rifles, dog sleds to snowmobiles, and traditional kayaks to freighter canoes, the Inuit seal hunters still pursued their quarry in the old manner. They hunted seals one at a time from the frigid waters, killing them not with clubs but with a bullet.
There are 5 different species of seal living in offshore waters of the Canadian Northwest Territories. None of them are in danger. Before the sealskin boycott, sealskins generated most of the cash income for smaller communities on Baffin Island. However, when the market for sealskin collapsed, the Inuit hunters lost a substantial part of the only livelihood they knew. Today, most of the traditional hunters are now unable to hunt on a regular basis because of the very high cost of all the equipment required.
The Inuit have always depended on animals for life because they do not and cannot rely on agriculture. The Inuit culture requires hunters to behave respectfully and responsibly towards the animals they hunt and not to misuse their power with respect to the animals. To have devised a practical, workable system of fisheries, wildlife management, and conservation in cooperation with the governments of Canada and the Northwest Territories. The Inuit invite those governments to fully implement the system and invite all others to work with us to that end.
Our land and animals have always provided for the Inuit. Like her children, we treat them with respect, for without them there is no future for our people. The ocean gives us the seal and walrus. The river gives us the Arctic char, the sky gives us the birds, and the land gives us the caribou and polar bear. All we ask is the right to determine our own growth and our own future. It is essential now that we, the Inuit, listen to our elders' voices and recognize in them their wisdom, which goes back to the beginning of humankind.
To know who we are now, we must know where we have come from, to be able to walk forward into the future in strength and dignity. Oh, Canada, nangingil Nunavut, piquyati, nalatiaqtabun, angin libaliyayuti, sangiyulutilu, nangil pugun. Oh, Canada, mianiriyaluti, gununavut, mianirigu, nangil pugun, mianiriluti. Oh, Canada, salagiyakuna.
Madeline Alakarela Wunga.
Lucy Kavavanguyunga.
Angela Ataguttek,
Lorna Utuboyunga.
Leslie Kamaniuyunga,
Kani Makusanguvunga,
Kevin Sadlivaniyuvunga.
Sheena Akamariuyunga.
Norman Kiutayunga.
Pauline Kayavunga,
Naaman Qalaqtiyunga.
Brenda Kanayuyunga. Tematawani Induksulu